Hello everyone, welcome to our channel, Genius Academia. Welcome to the phases of the software development lifecycle. There are generally 6 phases in the SDLC process: planning, design, development, testing, deployment, and maintenance. Each phase is discrete, meaning that tasks from a previous phase do not overlap with tasks in the next phase. The original SDLC was conceived as a traditional waterfall method where the phases are linear, but have since been adapted to introduce iteration so that shifting requirements can be accommodated. Waterfall and other approaches to software development will be discussed in another video. Note that some organizations may have different names for each stage. In the first stage of the SDLC, the planning phase, requirements are gathered, analyzed, documented, and prioritized. When planning a software solution, the following factors must be considered: users of the solution, the overall purpose of the solution, data inputs and outputs, legal and regulatory compliance, risk identification, quality assurance requirements, allocation of human and financial resources, and project scheduling. As part of the planning process, labor and material costs are estimated and weighed against time constraints. Also, project teams are identified, and roles of each team member are proposed. If stakeholders are struggling to define requirements, often the development team may produce prototypes during the planning stage to tease out those requirements. A prototype is a small-scale replica of the end product used to get stakeholder feedback and establish requirements. A prototype is used to test basic design ideas. Though prototyping usually occurs during the planning stage, prototyping can occur at various phases of the SDLC, whenever requirements need to be reconsidered or clarified as the project develops. After requirements have been gathered, they are combined into a document called a Software Requirements Specification, or SRS, document. The SRS needs to be clearly understood and approved by all stakeholders. The developers are also involved at this stage so they can gain a clear understanding of these requirements. In the design phase, the requirements gathered from the SRS are used to develop the software architecture. Several team members work together at this stage to design the architecture. The architecture is reviewed by the stakeholders and team. And during this phase, prototypes can be designed. A prototype is a preliminary mock-up of the system, or parts of the system, used for demonstration purposes. The document created in this phase is called a design document and is used by developers during the next phase, which is the development phase. The development phase, sometimes called the building phase or the implementation phase, is when the developers start the coding process once the design document is completed. The project planners use the design document to determine and assign coding tasks. This phase often requires the use of programming tools, different programming languages, and software stacks. Organizations may also have standards or guidelines that need to be followed. The testing phase is next in the process once the coding is complete. And some large projects have dedicated testing teams. Code needs to be thoroughly tested to ensure it is stable, secure, and meets the requirements outlined in the SRS. Testing can be manual, automated, or a hybrid of both. Product bugs are reported, tracked, and fixed, and code is retested until the software is stable. Some common levels of testing include unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and acceptance testing. The deployment phase is where the application is released into the production environment and made available to users. This can also happen in stages. First, it is released onto a user acceptance testing, also called UAT, platform. And once the customer signs off on the functionality, it is released to production. This approach can be used for making software available on a website, mobile device app store, or a software distribution server on a corporate network. Finally, the maintenance phase happens once the code has been deployed into a production environment. This phase helps to find any other bugs, identify user interface issues, or UI for short, and identify other requirements that may not have been listed in the SRS. Code enhancements can also be identified at this stage. If bugs are discovered in this phase that were missed during testing, these errors may need to be fixed for high-priority issues or incorporated into the requirements as part of a future software release, and the process can start over again. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. If you found this lesson helpful, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notification bell for more practical software engineering videos.